Will the recession impact the housing market? Will housing inventory increase? Should you buy a home now or wait? Stick with me here for the next several minutes and I'll answer these questions and more. Hi there, I'm Erik Braceland with Braceland Homes here in sunny San Diego, California. A recent article from the Wall Street Journal says 75% of global chief executive officers or CEOs say that we are now in a recession or will be in the next 12 to 18 months here in the US. So is there a recession looming or are we already in one? I don't want to get too down into the weeds on this because I'm not an economist, but a commonly used explanation of how recession occurs is when we have 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP or gross domestic product. And that's where we are right now. So yes, the economy is slowing. And if we're wondering how recession affects real estate, you're in the right place. While none of us has a crystal ball, we can examine and use historical indicators to predict how a recession affects the housing market. So let's do that. Throughout history, during recessionary periods, as shown here, interest rates go up at the beginning of the recession, and then to come out of recession, interest rates are lowered to stimulate the economy moving forward. The recession periods are highlighted here in yellow. Historically, we've seen repeated upticks in interest rates followed by subsequent lower interest rates. Reconfiguring the same data in table format really drives the point home about interest rates spiking during a recession and then falling on average 1.8% over the last 6 recessions. Which recession was the worst? It really depends on what data points you're interested in. In the real estate industry, things were most heavily impacted in the early 80s and again during the mortgage meltdown from 2007 to 2009. And you can see here in the far right column of this chart, that's a pretty remarkable and consistent trend. Of course, this isn't always indicative of what's going to happen in the future. And I can't guarantee this will happen again during this period of recession, but we can pair our knowledge of what's happened in the past with our good sense and our local housing market expertise to make sound decisions on how to execute on our real estate goals. And I want to remind all of you, and those of you that are new here, a recession doesn't equal a housing crisis. Forget about what you're seeing and hearing in the mainstream media. Those are sensationalized headlines circulated for one purpose: ratings, clicks, views. Okay, I know, that's more like 3, but they're all the same. These media outlets know that fear drives more views than anything else. Well, fear and gossip. Anyway, I'm here to be your calming voice of reason. Look, we already looked at how recession affects real estate in relation to mortgage rates. Now here's what's happened to home prices during all the recessions going all the way back to the early 80s. What do you see? 4 out of the 6 times we were in recession, homes appreciated. 2 times they fell, once marginally in the early 90s, and the other time was in 2008. 2008 is the one most of us remember, and the word recession took on a new meaning because of that time. Many people were hurt, a lot of people were impacted, a lot more saw family members that were hurt. But I think the majority now has a good understanding of what happened there and how to prevent it from happening again. Is housing inventory increasing? Yes. Good news for you homebuyers. Finally, more housing inventory. Well, sort of. I know the last few years have been just awful for you. Right now, you have more homes to choose from than you've had in a long time, but not for the reason you're probably thinking of. I'll explain shortly. And there is less competition for those homes. Nice. Let's break this down. First, we're seeing less offers received. Really, since April, the multiple offer situation has been slowly tapering off. Right now, there are still homes receiving multiple offers, but there are many more that aren't receiving any offers. The recent rising mortgage rate environment is really starting to soften buyer demand. We're also seeing the number of offers over asking price declining. A month ago, well over 50% of homes were getting offers above the asking price, and now less than 50% of homes are receiving these generous offers. And that's a product of the reduced buyer activity and competition. Still great for you home sellers that homes are selling above asking, but you may have to settle for an asking price offer on your home, or even one that is below your target price. You may also have to make some repairs or give up some seller credit to the buyer to close the deal if your home isn't in exceptional condition. Not the end of the world, but also not what we've been conditioned to the last few years. Home sales are softening as well. I'll spend more time on this in just a bit, but we are definitely starting to see a slower pace of sales. With all of these factors in play, what does that mean for inventory? That is the big question. Inventory is actually on the rise, and we'll take a look at that in more detail in just a moment. But what's driving this increase? Are more sellers listing their homes right now? To some extent. But slowing of home sales is really the biggest contributor to the increase of housing inventory at the moment. So what we really have is the same housing inventory with fewer home sales giving us more months housing supply. We can see that rise in months of housing inventory right here. Now keep in mind that a balanced or neutral housing market requires approximately 6 months of housing supply. And by that, I mean it's not a seller's market or a buyer's market. So we see here where we started in January with a record low housing inventory. And this has slowly but steadily increased as the year has gone on. So why is that? In addition to home sales slowing, and has continued to do so since. That's huge. That means that there are more new listings coming to the market this year for buyers, and new home buyers now have more options available. And again, at the same time that pace of home sales is slowing, and what you can see in the green bar over on the right is that we are projected to end this year with 5.4 million home sales by the end of 2022. Now we know that that pace has softened because of rising rates, economic pressures, inflationary pressures, all the things that are impacting the housing market right now. When we compare this year to last year and the year before, we have to remember that the housing market is slowing to more of a normal year in real estate, as evidenced by the years preceding the pandemic. 2020 and 2021 especially were absolutely incredible years for home sellers in particular. They were an anomaly in the housing market. But where we are today in that green bar is returning more towards the direction of those pre-pandemic years, which were also great years in real estate. So when we think about this contextually, yes, the pace of sales is slowing, but we're slowing back to the pre-pandemic years, which were also fantastic years for the housing market. Should you buy a home now or wait? With more inventory coming to the housing market, many of you are asking me, should I buy a home right now? My answer to that question is, and always will be, yes, if it's the right time for you and your family. Trying to time the market is really just a fool's errand. None of us know what the market is going to do, and please don't let anyone convince you that they do, because they do not. If you want to make a move, or you need to make a move, and you can afford to do so, then do it, because it will make your life better, and be thankful you have the ability to do so. It's really just that simple. It's true, the average mortgage payment has gone up significantly, and that's a barrier to home ownership for many of you. And it causes others to pause to see what will happen with future mortgage rate shifts. I recommend you speak with me or someone like me and find a way to make it happen. The market will continue to fluctuate up and down, and when it's time to make another move, it probably won't matter what the market is doing then either. If you sell high, you're going to buy a replacement property in that same market and buy high. Or you'll be in the reverse situation, sell low and buy low. If this is your first purchase, great. Get in now, because even with the ups and downs, the trajectory of real estate is always up. So if you wait, you're almost always waiting for that real estate to become more expensive. You also may be worried about overpaying for your new home, or have concerns about the bottom falling out of the market right after you buy. We all have or have had these concerns. Let's address these. Here we see home prices are predicted to continue rising throughout the year by 7 of the leading industry forecasters. Not a one of them saying that prices will fall, and the average increase across the group is forecast to be 8.5%. So all forecasters are calling for appreciation, and also at a very respectable rate. That should alleviate some of your fears of overpaying or losing value in your new home. Let's explore that at an even deeper level with the findings shown here of the Home Price Expectation Survey. If you're new here, this is a quarterly survey of 100 of the leading economists and housing market experts across the country. Here we have the consensus of those experts' opinions. So we see a forecast similar to the prediction on the previous slide for rising home prices in 2022. We can also see home prices are predicted to continue rising, although at a slower pace for the next 5 years. Again, there is no guarantee and no one knows for sure about these things, but there's a whole lot of intellect and research coming together here to indicate that your next home purchase will be a sound investment. Good luck to all of you out there planning to make a move in the near future. If you and your family are ready for a move, tune out all the noise and just do it. Like I always say, if there's a will, there's a way. I'm already booked up for July, but I am accepting a very limited number of new clients for the month of August. I'll personally work with you one-on-one to sell your current home or to purchase a new home, or both. Please use my contact info listed in the video description below to reach me. I hope to hear from you real soon.